Hello everyone, my name is Loko and welcome to some more StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today I'm going to analyze a game that I played yesterday, and this is going to be one of the most one-sided matches of Zerg vs Terran that I've played, where my opponent goes for a very standard Hellion, Hellbat, Liberator into, I believe, mech kind of strategy, and I end up dealing with it quite well. So I wanted to share this video just to showcase to you how you can be dealing with the Liberator aggression and how you can sort of prepare for what the Terran is doing. I'm still trying to figure this out for the most part myself as well, but I feel like we've been improving a ton, or I've been improving a ton in exactly that in the last couple of days. So when the Liberators first got introduced into the game, I lost every single Zerg vs Terran because I had absolutely no clue what to do, especially when players started not doing only Liberator aggression in the main base and basically sieging up in the mineral line, but then also trying to run by with Hellions at that exact same time, and that's what I've been losing to a ton. Now, looking at my opponent, I notice immediately that those are Korean characters, right? I'm like 90% sure those are Korean characters while in the loading screen. And at that point, I don't want to be racist or anything, but at that point, I kind of assume my opponent is gonna play hyper aggressive. I don't know if any of you have ever played on the Korean server or have faced anyone in the beta that is, you know, running these Korean characters, but most of the Koreans play extremely aggressive, and they do so pretty much in every single league, and only at the very top of the Korean ladder, you will notice that people will start playing, you know, macro and whatnot. Not that I've ever been there, but I've seen live streams of people, and I've seen, you know, people talk about it multiple times. But in general, when you see a Korean player, you can sort of assume they're going to be extremely aggressive because that's the meta over there. Whereas I've noticed actually Chinese players, especially in the Legacy of the Void beta, which I never play in Europe, are playing very weird strategies and like gateway block and whatnot expansions and all kinds of shenanigans. But anyways, there's different playstyles for different servers. Korean server in general is very aggressive, and that is what I'm going to be assuming my opponent is going for. So in this specific game, I'm gonna be playing a pretty standard style that I've been practicing a lot myself, and that is gonna be Roach Ravager into Hydra Lurker. That is something I've been playing a ton of, and it actually works out very well. I've been playing a lot more aggressive in Legacy of the Void myself as well, not quite like one base all-in-y all that much, a little bit, but not too much. But I've been trying to play a little more aggressive, for the most part, because Terran players and Protoss players alike have a very hard time catching back up into economy after you actually, you know, do any kind of damage at all. If you manage to kill an SCV early on, it will take it much longer to actually, or it will take a command center much longer to actually make it, since you don't have mules anymore. So killing, you know, any kind of workers from Protoss and Terran is, relatively speaking, stronger now that, you know, the macro mechanics have been removed. So I've been trying to play a little more aggressive, seeing whatever I can pick up, and in this game I noticed very quickly what my opponent is going for. So right here I already had a bit of a glimpse about what is going on. I saw that he was gonna switch over a factory, and I know he already had your reactor right there. So even though he's doing some shenanigans right now with this early game Reaper, I am fully aware of exactly what my opponent is going for, and I'm gonna be preparing for that accordingly. Now, in Legacy of the Void, in pretty much every single matchup, I would recommend getting a bit of an earlier Roach Warren. And while in Heart of the Swarm, you sometimes skip out on a Roach Warren altogether for instead a, for example, what would you have? Like, you can go for Banelings, you can go for some early Zerg speed, or even a macro hatch and try and get that out. But for the most part, it is much safer to get that Roach Warren relatively early on, and that's what I'm doing right now. I tend to get it right when my link speed finishes up, which is right now, and I'm going to be moving out with the Zerglings that I have just to see what damage I can really do. And it turns out I can do a little bit of damage. I can be a little annoying to my opponent, killing whatever I can, like I mentioned, for the very reason that it's harder for him to catch up now that mules have been removed. And I have a look right here, I see the Stargate, I see that he's already producing Hellions, I see a bunch of Marines, so I know exactly what is going on right now, for the fact that my opponent is 90% of the time going to go for Liberator aggression, or he's going to be going for Banshee aggression with some Hellions. Now, in the current meta, I would assume pretty much 100% of the time that it's going to be Liberator. And what I'm going to do is get the third base going and start some more gases. And the gases are going to be extremely important because basically you're going to need Ravagers to deal with the Liberator. So quick introduction on the Liberator. I'm going to showcase it real quick. Just take control of the camera right here. Basically, he can put the Liberator like right there, and he can siege up into my mineral line in a big circle, and he can basically snipe out all of the drones, and there's nothing I can really do to stop that. Unless I have vision of where he's located, which I really should be getting, to be honest. I really should need an overlord over here. Kind of a misplay by me. And I can also use the Ravagers to basically maneuver around. Now, in Legacy of the Void, they've changed a lot of things up because for the, you know, you need to focus a lot more on micro. And I do have my first Ravagers out right now. And I also know that my opponent has you know, Hellion's good to go. So what I do end up getting, just in case it is going to be a Banshee, is one Spore Crawler in the main base, and I'm trying to split up my Ravagers into the main base and my Roaches towards the natural. I did make about, I think about 4 Ravagers right now, and then we can see the Liberator push in. And what I'm going to try and do is find the location of it and activate the corrosive bio ability to try and shoo away the thing. Now you do need a couple more hits than I did right there to kill him. But it at the very least makes sure that I can go back to mining with the workers that I got, and I at the very least dealt with that just fine. So far I'm feeling pretty good. In the past, what I've had a lot is dealing either with the aggression in the main base very well and then losing all my drones in the natural because of the Hellion run-by. But this seems to be a pretty powerful way of opening up. So what I basically ended up doing is make about 4 Ravagers for the main base, have those hang around there, and then have your other like a couple of Roaches, maybe 3, 4, 5 Roaches in the natural to snipe away those Hellions, and then the Queens in the natural as well to try and help out with whatever they can do. Now at that point, after defending the aggression, you can go straight back to droning and try and see whatever, you know, whatever else is necessary. So right here, I'm once again looking for the thing, queuing up the ability, and I will be able to get the kill on the Liberator right there. Liberators are extremely expensive. I believe there's still 150 minerals and 150 gas. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, 150 minerals and 150 gas. So they're a very expensive unit. And if they don't really deal any damage, I mean, I got the kill right there as well. If they don't really deal any kind of significant damage, in total 6 workers went down, you can see that supply-wise, Zerg will start pushing ahead very, very quickly. Now that I am droning up again, and now that I did kill that Liberator, I know that it's for a fact safe for me to start moving out across the map. Another way of dealing with Liberators is by making sure they're played defensively only, and that's exactly what I'm going to try and do right now. So the reason why I'm pushing here is not so much to try and kill my opponent, but just because I had units left over, and I know for a fact that if he has more Liberators, he's going to be forced to play defensively right now, and any kind of worker that I can pick up right here is going to be worth my time. So I'm just trying to do whatever damage I can do. And I maybe could have finished off the game if I really wanted to, if I was focused a lot on not droning up here. But instead, you know, I feel like droning up is going to be the safer all-round option, and I'm going to pick up whatever upgrade my opponent is going for, just trying to do whatever damage. And we do see a Banshee right there that is trying to be very annoying. I'm just going to move forward right here, kill whatever I can, and then get out a little later. Lara is about to finish up already, gonna be using that, and you can see, by the way, my opponent is switching to mech, which is very, very common right now because there's no minerals anymore for bio. But my I'm gonna be switching towards my Spire, and I'm gonna be switching towards my Hydra then. Reason for the Spire may be a little confusing. Most of the time in Heart of the Swarm, for example, you will go for Mutalisk or you will go for Roach Hydra, right? There's not really a mix in between. Well, in this case, I'm not actually getting the Spire for Mutalisk, but I'm instead getting it for Corruptors. It is pretty much worth it every single time to get Corruptors and Legacy of the Void in both Zerg vs Terran and Zerg vs Protoss, for the simple reason that Zerg doesn't really have any kind of way of dealing with A, War Prisms, and B, Banshees and Liberators and whatnot. So pretty much every single time you do make a Hydra, then it is worth putting down a Spire as well, and to start switching towards, you know, a little bit more of a common, you know, like a little bit of more of a gas-heavy style, which is also the reason why I'm already getting that fort base. So at this point in time, I killed 14 workers. My opponent doesn't have mules, so he's gonna have a much harder time catching up. And now that there's a Banshee out on the map, I will be getting a couple of Hydralisks, and very shortly, I will be getting a couple of Corruptors as well. But you can see, income-wise, I'm doing quite well. Got 80 workers versus 31. Which is a pretty insane advantage for Zerg, obviously. And even though I'm oversaturated in one of the bases, very shortly I will be able to make it, you know, be a lot more useful. So my opponent is trying to move in right now. I know that he likely has Cloak at this point in the game. So what I'm going to do is just add my Overseer to this and, you know, start adding in those Corruptors so I can eventually pick them off. Now I'm putting those in a separate hotkey group. I don't need too many. In total, I think I want about 5 or so of them. Just to pick off whatever is flying around, and also to every now and then deal some damage to buildings. Now notice I'm not rushing out Lurkers or anything. I've been messing around a bunch with Lurkers, and I feel like early on Ravagers are great and they're really good at cleaning up any kind of aggression that the Terran does, but rushing for Lurkers seems to be a little risky, especially if you put down such an early Spire like I did in this game. It's kind of a risk to, you know, get the Lurker den, or get the Lurker den too quickly. So what I've been opting for instead is get the upgrade in the Hydra den first and then switch towards Lurkers. So obviously I'm gonna need my Overseer here, gonna try and pick off whatever I can, catch these two Banshees with the Hydras as well, and gaining a nice little lead right here. I am going to be getting the Lurker Den very shortly, if I'm not mistaken, or at the very least, I should consider starting to switch towards it. Or I may just start moving out now that my +2 armor is about to finish up, as well as +1 attack. Yeah, there we go, I am going to start up the Lurker oppression. But most of the time, I've noticed that I do a bit of Roach, Ravager, Corruptor, Hydra aggression before switching towards Lurkers, and at the same time I also try and transition towards a hive. So as you can see, Legacy of the Void Zerg vs Terran is starting to look extremely promising. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am basically practically making every single unit that Zerg has. And I think Zerg vs Terran is gonna be an absolutely amazing matchup once they, you know, figure balance out a little bit more, because as it is right now, Terran is kind of weak, but it is a pretty amazing matchup. I keep in mind I also opened up with Zerglings. Ultralisks definitely also have their place in the current meta in Zerg vs Terran because Ultra Armor is insane. But hopefully this video at the very least taught you a little bit about dealing with the Liberator aggression early on, and then also the Hellion runbys that can be ruining your day. So quick recap. Make sure you get the Zergling speed early on to deal with any kind of super early aggression. Add on more gases once the Zergling speed finishes, and then add on the Roach Warren as well. Leave a couple of Liberators in the main base that you put on a separate hotkey group as the Roaches that you have in a natural to shield away the Hellions. And then also transition towards a third base. Once you're at a lair, get the Spire going. Get the Hydra then going and start activating on more upgrades. Get the Hydra upgrade first to actually get the ranged and the speed upgrade. Switch towards a Lurker then, and then start transitioning towards a Hive with the Infestation Pit once you move out with +2 attack and +1 armor. Or at least I should be having... Yeah, I actually got +2 armor and +1 attack this time. But you get the idea. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It is definitely starting to be a really cool expansion. Hopefully you are excited for it as well, because there is still so much left to discover. I mean, I want to still go for Zerg drops. Want to be messing around with a Knight as well more. Want to add on more Queens if I can. Want to do some more proper like Viper play late game, and maybe add on some Brute Lords in the late game as well. I don't know, there's tons of different options, and since I get the Corruptors early on, there's definitely room for me to get that upgrade first, like the +1 attack first, which make the Brute Lords actually significantly stronger. So there's a ton of different options still happening. I will be figuring out Legacy of the Void, and when I do, which is not going to happen anytime soon, I will be making more and more videos about it. But every single time I make a step forward, I will be making a video. So if you're interested in the next one, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. And I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.